Welcome, brave souls, to Paranormal Stew, where the mysterious and the eerie come to life. Tonight, we dive into the shadows to uncover the secrets that lurk beyond the veil. Turn off the lights, keep your eyes peeled, and join us on a journey into the unknown. From the whispers in abandoned halls to the figures seen in the corner of your eye, we leave no stone unturned. What are these echoes from the past trying to tell us? Are we truly alone in the dark? We'll investigate the legends that have haunted humanity for generations, seeking the truth behind the terror. Prepare yourselves, for the line between our world and the next is thinner than you think. Sit back if you dare, as we begin our first investigation. This is Paranormals.
We found that are more, you could say, elegant from a medical point of view and more helpful will support normal mitochondrial function in a normal cell and harm abnormal mitochondrial function in a cancer cell. Well, it turns out, we didn't realize this for a long time, but it turns out that one of those agents is methylene blue. And so methylene blue has an ability to be a mitochondrial cancer agent where it's going to help your normal tissue stay normal, and it's going to help your cancerous tissue be weakened so that other therapies can then take it.
Most people, you put it to their head. Up to 2 hours later, 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch into the brain tissue is still heated from using the phone against your ear. And when you repeatedly heat those things, then tissue actually starts to become neoplastic. We have a pair of surgeons here in town in Dallas. They're busy 5 days a week, booked every single day, all day, taking out parotid gland tumors from people having AirPods, Bluetooth devices, because it's actually causing neoplastic activity. So EMFs absolutely decrease life expectancy.
It is a very good idea to leave a sinking ship. They lie to you, GI. You know you cannot win this war. Your rich leaders grow richer while you die in the swamp, GI. They will give you a medal, GI, but only after you are dead. The government lies to you every day. Poor soldier, you have lost this war, GI. Your army will leave you behind. Imperialists made you fight this war, GI. They do not care about you, GI. Your government has betrayed you. It will not return for you, GI.
Care what you say, Jim Carrey is the wokest actor.
I don't think we can afford to assume that the people who are charged with our public health any longer have our best interests at heart all the time.
I say, why would a doctor not want to know more about something that could save a life or prevent a disease? I don't understand.
The AAP is financed by the drug companies. Medical schools are financed by the drug companies. This is a huge business. Vaccines are the largest growing division of the pharmaceutical industry. $13 billion.
They control medical schools.
For years now, talk show hosts, people on television, people in sitcoms have been hired by the government to throw you off the track, to distract you, to make you laugh and stuff like that, make you happy and docile so you don't know what's really going on. You know? And they just start making stuff up. Yeah. Like that Neil Armstrong guy. Have you seen him on the talk shows? Neil Armstrong? You mean the first man to walk on the moon? Talk about a fish story. Yeah. Man, and they're buying it. Okay.
I wanted to find the most meaningless thing that I could come to and join, and here I am.
They're celebrating.
I mean, you got to admit it's completely meaningless.
Well, they say they're celebrating icons inside.
Celebrating icons, boy, that is just the absolute lowest aiming, possibility that we could come up with. It's like
that I sent you about that dude breaking down exactly what's in flour and why it fucks us up. Do you remember that video?
Explain to me why I can eat bread in Spain and in Greece, Italy, no problem. Why I was gluten free in 15 years. I've been gluten free in Canada, America. Can't eat it.
That's because in America, what we call bread can't even be considered food in parts of Europe. See, here in America, it's not so much the gluten as what we've done to the grain. About 200 years ago, we started stripping the bran and germ, or the fiber and nutrients, to make flour shelf stable. also nutritionally dead. Because the nutrients were gone, we enriched it with folic acid, which a large majority of the population can't even metabolize, therefore many people experience fatigue, anxiety, hyperactivity, and inflammation. But then the bread wasn't white enough, so they bleached it with chlorine gas, and the bread didn't rise enough, so they added a carcinogen called potassium bromate, which is banned in several countries like Europe, the UK, and even China. Then we wanted to ramp up production, so we started using glyphosate to dry out the wheat before harvest, causing endocrine disruption and damaging your gut. So now you're bloated, brain fogged, tired, and blame gluten, but gluten is just the scapegoat. The real issue is ultra-processed, chemically altered, bleached, bromated, fake vitamin-filled wheat soaked in glyphosate. This isn't bread.
Speeding up. If you haven't noticed yet, you must be living under a rock somewhere. You can just Google Mount Athos, Greek monks. They've been there for centuries. So they've been keeping time. They burn candles, so they know when they go into their prayer sessions, they know how long a candle burns because they use the same candle, same source, everything the same. Nothing has changed. In 68, when they started noticing the speed up of time, and the candle now burns only 18 or 19 hours, when it used to burn 24 hours. So 68... That's 32, 50, almost 60 years. In 60 years, the time differential has sped up. We're going through a shift.
To the reference works, there is a little spiritual entity that guides the world of Freemasonry, and they call him Yoda. And in the reference works, you'll see this little creature with the pointed ears, and he's called Yota. Yota goes back to Judah, which goes back into British Israel World Freemasonry, going back to the time of the founding of England, and that's why they're today called British. The British, it's a very big difference between being English and British. Brit is Hebrew for contract or a covenant, and ish means man in Hebrew. Therefore, British is the covenant man or man of the new covenant.
So we're talking about Star Wars.
So we're talking about Star Wars. We're talking about
the evil empire.
The Empire Strikes Back. And with the Empire striking back, New York is the Empire State. We're talking about the new empire of New World, America, striking back at Europe in 2 world wars to overthrow the old Roman dynasties in Europe to take over the world.
What is in this new ice cream we are feeding our kids?
Look at that.
Is it petrified alien?
Lee said what were in it. Didn't he yesterday? You were guessing what were in it. Yeah.
Palm oil.
Yeah.
Not bad, huh?
Chicken.
Oh, you got some in.
Oh, put them back. Got that in.
Right.
If you're wondering why modern ice cream in America no longer melts, it's because it's probably not ice cream. It is now a frozen dairy dessert, and it will have to be labeled like that. And these ice creams are actually engineered not to melt, if you can believe it. And the reason why they don't melt is because they have a high level of stabilizers and gums. This is the biggest reason that modern ice cream isn't melting. It's that vegetable oils and fats are being used instead of dairy fat. That's a big issue because it changes the melting point. More air is being whipped into the ice cream. It can now have over 100% air. And if you look at the formulation tweaks, more sweeteners and other things are being added, which also changes the freezing point. Again, this ice cream is being engineered to not melt. It's fake. A lot of ice cream can't even be labeled correctly like that anymore. Just watch out for it, and our food really is a science experiment.
They can translate like Hitler's speech. They've got Hitler's speeches that Hitler gave in German. And you get to see it in English, and you're like, oh.
The German nation does not wish its interests to be determined and controlled by any foreign nation. France to the French, England to the English, America to the Americans, and Germany to the Germans. We are resolved to prevent the settlement in our country of a strange people which was capable of snatching for itself all the leading positions in the land, and to oust it, for it is our will to educate our own nation for these leading positions. We have hundreds of thousands of very intelligent children of peasants and of the working classes. We shall have them educated. In fact, we have already begun. And we wish that one day they, and not the representatives of an alien race, may hold the leading positions in the state together with our educated classes. Above all, German culture, as its name alone shows, is German and not Jewish, and therefore its management and care will be entrusted to members of our own nation.
When you see those things, those speeches, I thought it was all like, we gotta exterminate the Jews. That's
know that 1913 was the year we actually lost control of our country, right? Oh, and just for historical context, World War I started in 1914. I mean, look, I'm sure that was a coincidence, but let me just tell you all the things that were created in 1913. First, the Federal Reserve, which is neither federal nor has any reserves. It's basically a private bank that just controls all of our money. Second thing created in 1913 was the IRS. And I'm sure it's just a coincidence that it was created the exact same year that a private bank took over all of our money. Yeah, I'm sure it's a coincidence that that was the year they started taxing you. Like, you work, they print, and then you pay them back with interest. Yeah, that makes sense. The next thing created was the Rockefeller Foundation. Yeah, and let's be real, that was all about philanthropy. It's not like they took control of medicine, education, science, and basically the health of the world. I mean, let's be real, all they were doing was donating money. Yeah, it's not like they were buying control of everything. Oh, and that worked out so well, right? Because people are healthier and more self-sufficient than ever, right? Oh yeah, also in 1913 was the American Cancer Society. I mean, that sounds like a good thing, right? That can't possibly be bad, except it was completely funded by extremely wealthy people. But even though it was a charity, they never really gave to anyone. No, they just took their money and invested in pharmaceutical drugs. Oh, and chemo. Yeah, instead of taking that money and investing in companies that were trying to find a cure, no, we'll just invest in companies that use chemicals from the military that were later banned. Yeah, that's a good thing to keep fucking putting into people. Then also created in 1913, the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, which sure, yeah, it's about civil rights. Yeah, totally. It's not about censoring people or, silencing critics. And then in 1914, we had World War I. And that became the first war ever that private industry profited from war. The private industry that's owned by the same families that created the Fed, the IRS, the Rockefeller Foundation, the American Cancer Society, the ADL. Again, just a coincidence. Oh, I'd also like to point out that a year prior to 1913, 1912, yeah, that was when the Titanic sank. And it's funny how three of the wealthiest individuals on that ship were the loudest voices opposed to central banking. Oh, and there's also the little tidbit that JP Morgan was supposed to be on that boat, but he canceled at the last second. But yeah, that's conspiracy. That's tinfoil hat talk. So what's happened since 1913? Well, the dollar has lost 99% of its value. Our debt has just become like a number that we ignore. Middle class getting fucked daily. War is now an industry instead of a conflict. Oh yeah, and your money isn't real anymore. Like, it's just not real. It's not backed by anything. It's just numbers on a paper that private bank prints. So guys, look, if you're worried about America being conquered or, a rebellion or it being taken over, I just want you to recognize that you're more than 100 years too late. That shit already happened.
Drug that reverses autism. Why wouldn't they want you to know about it?
This might be one of the biggest medical cover-ups you've never heard of. Sermon is a drug originally derived from compounds found in white pine needles. It's been used for over 100 years to treat African sleeping sickness due to its powerful anti-parasitic properties. It works so well that the World Health Organization supplies it for free in parts of Africa. But here in the US, it isn't approved by the FDA, and the only way to get it is through the CDC under strict medical supervision, essentially making it off limits to the public. Now, here's where it gets wild. In 2017, Dr. Robert Naveau out of UC San Diego gave a single low dose of Sermon to 5 boys with autism. Within hours to days, their language improved, social interaction increased, eye contact returned, and playfulness and awareness came back. One child who had never spoke said his first full sentence. These kids experienced a complete metabolic reset. However, Sermon can't be patented. No one owns it, no one profits from it, and therefore the study didn't receive any funding. Dr. Naveau even went $500,000 in debt to run the study himself. And the results, well, they were essentially buried. If you search for it, you'll find fact checks and misinformation because this is so much bigger than potentially curing autism. If Sermon works, it supports a massive shift in everything we've been led to believe. It would validate something called cell danger response, a theory that autism isn't purely genetic, but rather metabolic shutdown triggered by toxins, infections, or chronic stress. If this were true, it would shatter the current medical narrative and expose a multi-billion-dollar industry on symptom management. And maybe that's why you weren't supposed to hear.
Let's look at the photo. You say that's me? Okay. Check out the name badge. It says Aldrin. Looks like you're right. But notice the helmet. Can you see my face? No. This is a secret I've been keeping for almost half a century. On July 20th, 1969, Neil Armstrong and I pulled off humanity's first extraterrestrial prank.
What was the scariest moment of the journey?
Scariest? It didn't happen. It could have been scary.
Why has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
That's not an 8-year-old's question. That's my question. I want to know, but I think I know. Because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened. And if it didn't happen, it's nice to know why it didn't happen, so in the future, if we want to keep doing something, we need to know why something stopped in the past that we wanted to keep it going. Money is a good thing. If you want to buy new things, new rockets, instead of keep doing the same thing over, then it's going to cost more money. And other things need more money too. So having achieved what the president wanted us to do, and then what thousands, millions of people in America, and millions of people around the world. You know, when we toured around the world after we came back, the most fascinating observation was signs that said, we did it. Not just us, not just America, but we, the world, different countries. They felt like they were part of what.
Rothschilds rewrote the Bible to force-feed Zionism to Christians. In 1909, the Oxford University Press published Schofield's reference Bible despite him having little academic training. Who was Oxford's biggest Zionist donor? The Rothschilds. This edited Bible teaches that the Jews are the chosen people to reclaim the land of Israel despite the costs. This was psychological warfare to brainwash Christians, and it indoctrinated past generations to believe a lie. Follow for more uncensored.
You need to understand something that parents these days have long since forgot, and are going to have to relearn again. Your grandparents knew this, but today's generation of parents doesn't seem to. And that is, you do not get to design your children. Nature would never have permitted that to happen. Evolution would not have allowed a generation of a species to be so influenced by the previous generation. It hasn't happened, and it doesn't happen, and it especially doesn't happen in children. You do not design your children. And yet we have the Mozart effect, the belief that if I play classical music to my uterus when I'm pregnant, I'm going to have a genius. The fact that if I can just put enough crib toys over his crib, he's going to have all these neurons exploding with synapses and be a brilliant mathematician. You don't get that degree of power. Does that mean stimulation doesn't matter? No. It means a stimulation environment is better than a deprived environment. But it doesn't mean that the more stimulation you add into the environment, the better it gets. It's a threshold. There is enough stimulation that every normal brain needs to develop. And once you're past that, which 98% of you are, the rest of it is out of your hands. What we have learned in the last 20 years of research in neuroimaging, behavior genetics, developmental psychology, neuropsychology can be boiled down to this phrase. Your child is born with more than 400 psychological traits that will emerge as they mature, and they have nothing to do with you. So the idea that you are going to engineer personalities and IQ and academic achievement skills and all these other things just isn't true. Your child is not a blank slate on which you get to write. The better view is that your child is a genetic mosaic of your extended family, which means this is a unique combination of the traits that run in your family line. I like the shepherd view. You are a shepherd. You don't design the sheep. The engineering view makes you responsible for everything. Everything that goes right and everything that goes wrong. This is why parents come to us with such guilt, more guilt than we've ever seen in prior generations, because parents today believe that it's all about them and what they do. And if they don't get it right, or if their child has a disability, they've done something wrong. When in fact the opposite is true. This has nothing to do with your particular brand of parenting. So I would rather that you stop thinking yourself as an engineer and step back and say, I am a shepherd to a unique individual. Shepherds are powerful people. They pick the pastures in which the sheep will graze and develop and grow. They determine whether they're appropriately nourished. They determine whether they're protected from harm. The environment is important, but it doesn't design the sheep. No shepherd is going to turn a sheep into a dog. Now, that comes with it a profoundly freeing view of parenting. Because what it means is, although it's important to be a shepherd, recognizing that this is a unique individual before you allows you to enjoy the show, right? So open a bottle of Chardonnay, kick off your slippers, sit back, and watch what takes place, right? Because you don't get to determine this, right? So enjoy it. It doesn't last all that long anyway. They're gone before you know it, right? But if you think that what you did in your house is going to shape the life course of this individual, you are sadly mistaken, right? This is a unique individual. Let them grow, let them prosper. Please design appropriate environments around them. But you don't get to design.
What do you think would have happened if Great Britain had not declared war on Germany on September 1st, 1939?
I think I don't know what the Poles would have done, whether they would have defied Hitler. Frankly, what the Poles should have done is give him back Danzig. It didn't mean that much to the Poles. Let him have his rail and road corridor, and frankly, and Hitler apparently was willing to compensate with little pieces of land from Slovakia. And so I think there are a number of things could have happened. One, there could have been no war at all, not even a German-Polish war. Secondly, if the Poles resisted, Hitler would probably have taken half of Poland and maybe would have gotten into the agreement with Russia. Third, there might have been a German, at that point, that's the only way the German-Russian shared a border, was in Poland. You know, they had no border with them, so how are they going to attack them? There could have been a war against Stalin's regime earlier, in which case I think the Germans, even though they weren't as strong, the Germans might have defeated Lenin and hanged the whole crowd in Moscow. And you would have had no Red China, no Gulag archipelago of its size or duration. You would have had no Cold War. And see, I don't think Hitler ever wanted to come west. What did he want in France? What did he want? I mean, when he got to France and took it, then they took back Alsace-Lorraine. But he went to Paris for a couple of days. He went to the Spanish border. He set up his defensive wall there. He didn't demand bases in the Middle East. He didn't demand the French fleet, even though the French and British had demanded the German fleet after World War I. I don't think he wanted anything. What he wanted from the West was, get out of my face. So, but I will say this. It is a terrific and provocative book in this sense, that it introduces people to the idea that this was not all white hats and black hats. But good heavens, look at what Stalin, look at that monster we allied ourselves with. You know, as of September 1, 1939, I figured out Hitler's dead, deliberately you can say, from actions here, his regime, Kristallnacht and the Rome Purge being the two greatest ones. The dead from that were something in the hundreds, probably 300, 400. And I've seen estimates by American historians that he probably had 25,000 people in concentration camps like Dachau. At that point in time, Stalin's victims probably numbered 10 million dead, include 5 to 9 million Ukrainians, all the people Lenin was executing left and right, and Trotsky and these animals were executing and starving, and the democides, as they've been called. And here we ally ourselves with this monster to kill
of the fetuses?
Yes.
Okay, included skin?
Yes.
Kidney?
Yes.
Spleen?
Yes.
Heart?
Yes.
And this was just one study. So I'm going to ask you again. In your entire career, how many fetuses have you worked with?
Well, I don't remember the exact number, but quite a few when we were studying them originally, before we decided to use them to make vaccines.
Do you have any sense? I mean, this one study had 76. How many other studies did you have that you used aborted fetuses for?
Oh, I don't remember how many.
You're aware? Are you aware that one of the objections to vaccination by the plaintiff in this case is the inclusion of aborted fetal?
This is what we must not let them do. When we lose cash, if we lose cash, and you've only got central bank digital currencies, the computer will know what it is you're trying to do before you even do it, and they will prevent you from doing it. If, for example, they say you can't leave your house more than 5 miles, you try and buy a bottle of water 6 miles from home, you won't be able to. I'm not kidding. That's so many reasons why you should retain cash. It's offensive that the politicians believe that they have a right to all of your information at all times. With 5G, In an urban area, they know within a small number of meters where you are. They know if you're on the toilet or in the kitchen. If you go online, they know you're online. If you write anything, I can assure you they know what I write. They know my IP address. Even with a VPN, I can't comment on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. I am censored and smeared. So I'm on Substack, Telegram, and places most people have never heard. It's so dangerously effective, the censorship. So, bottom line is they will try and take money away and replace it with electronic funny money. Don't let them do it. Keep using cash. Every day you use cash, you're throwing a handful of sand in the eyes of the globalists.
New research has people a little frightened to use it. There's a new study out that says after just one day, chemicals in sunscreens enter your bloodstream.
Before you grab that bottle of sunscreen, the first thing you need to do is check the ingredients on the back.
They are chemicals and they can potentially be dangerous.
Look at any bottle of sunscreen on the store shelf and it'll more than likely have one of these ingredients.
Avobenzone and oxybenzone are very commonly in your chemical sunscreens.
But a new study finds when you apply sunscreen with those chemicals, along with two other ones known as escamsol and octocrylene, they can absorb into your skin and into your bloodstream.
In more than 80% of the sunscreen products sold in the USA were now considered potentially unsafe for use. Wanting to protect our skin, but risking things like hormone disruptions, skin allergies, even cancer. And on the other side, you have mineral sunscreens. And the mineral sunscreens have zinc oxide or some other mineral. And what happens is it reflects the light off of your body. So it's almost like putting a barrier on your skin. The sun's light, rays hit and then they bounce off. So just from a health standpoint, that's obviously intuitively, as they're much healthier.
I will start with the statement of Joseph Sansone. It is based on the sworn statement of the late Professor Dr. Francis Boyle, who has determined and concluded. Professor Boyle is the greatest authority in the field of bioweapons legislation. He is the author of it. So he knows what is legally meant by it. He knew, like no other, that the COVID-19 mRNA injection is a bioweapon. He has also made that loud and clear to the world, known, after which, despite being in good health, he passed away shortly after he had declared himself willing to give testimony under oath about this in court. The core of Professor Boyle's argument is that the COVID-19 mRNA injections contain derivatives of illegal military gene function research. As a result, the COVID-19 injections qualify, by definition, as a military biological weapon system. A bioweapon, in other words. This bioweapon consists of two integrated components: the pathogenic load and the delivery mechanism. It is beyond doubt that the pathogenic load is the product of illegal gene or function research. Boyle refers to this, to an article in the scientific journal Nature Medicine, of which I have included the link in this plea note. If you open that link, you will immediately read the warning that true scientists believe that an animal is the most likely source of the coronavirus. You will also immediately know that what is called the new normal, true scientists, are not scientists, but faith fanatics. These are the scientists behind whom the respondents hide. The article in Nature Medicine that Boyle reports on was published in 2015, and the title reads, translated, "A cluster of circulating coronaviruses in bats, similar to SARS, shows potential for human infection." I present to you what the summary of this research included in the article reveals. It states, based on these findings, we have synthetically created an infectious fully SHC014 recombinant virus developed and demonstrated robust viral replication, both in vitro and in vivo. So it states, we researchers have created a SARS-like coronavirus with a spike protein optimized for human infection. I cannot provide a better example of illegal gain of function research. And who wrote that article from 2015? Among others, researchers affiliated with UNC Chapel Hill and the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Wuhan, yes, Wuhan. You know, where according to the official narrative, people suddenly dropped dead on the street when COVID-19 broke out because there was a bat mutated. The spike protein, the pathogenic payload of the bioweapon, is the result of this research. So it's not about a natural spike protein, but an illegally developed, synthetically made pathogen that has been optimized for human infection. The spike protein mRNA, with the instructions to human cells to produce this very pathogenic spike protein, is one of the two crucial building blocks of the COVID-19 bioweapon. Now, the delivery system, the NLPs, you know, the nanolipid particles that encapsulate the mRNA payload and deliver it into the interior of the cells. The propaganda term for this is fat globules, as if we're talking about something as harmless as a stick of butter. What did Boyle declare about it? Boyle declared that it is actually about a nanotechnology-enhanced delivery platform. This technology is, as Boyle declared, paid for, developed, financed, and conceived by the Pentagon and its research institute, DARPA. This technology platform, nanotechnology platform, was not an afterthought. Dr. Boyle points out that the virus itself was aerosolized and engineered with nanotechnology from the very beginning. This indicates a long-term program aimed at the application of advanced delivery systems, and this technology has been used in the COVID-19 injections. Boyle determined that the NLP delivery system in the injections is the result of a specific teacher-sponsored program for nanotechnological biological weapons. In the presentation by Sanson, you can read further about the legal implications of this. It is also argued that Gates and Bourla qualify as suspects of crimes against humanity, as defined in the Rome Statute concerning the International Criminal Court.
People always ask me, why don't you ever debate people in your comments? Why don't you respond to the pushback? Well, that's a fair question, and here's why. If you got fluoride in your toothpaste, if you think the sun is bad for you, if you think that weather modification is a conspiracy theory, if you think that saying a man should lead a relationship is misogynistic, if you think the COVID vaccine worked, if you think that steak and eggs and cholesterol are bad for you, if you think a man can become a woman, if you trust the mainstream media and think seed oils are healthy for you and think getting rich is greedy, then I ain't ever gonna debate you or argue with you, okay? Because this motherfucker doesn't waste time debating people who've already demonstrated they have zero critical thinking skills and can be propagandized into absolute delusion. I don't debate people who've outsourced their thinking to people and establishments who clearly don't have their best interests at heart. And I definitely don't debate people who are too afraid to just question the mainstream narrative, because they don't have the courage to go find the truth for themselves. Every one of those things that I just listed requires questioning everything, doing the research, putting emotion and bias aside, following the evidence wherever the truth leads, okay? And that shit ain't easy. It's what most people aren't willing to do. And those aren't my people. And then you gotta be willing to get criticized and shamed and by society for thinking differently. And here's the deal. I've learned people who are strong and fit and rich and happy and fulfilled and people who actually get what they want in life, they don't think like the average person. They don't think like the mainstream narrative. And why do most people lead very average lives? Because they think exactly like most people do. So no, I'm not gonna waste my time debating you in my fucking comment section. That's what you can keep doing. But I'm too busy actually making shit happen in my life, and that's the fucking vibe today, baby.
So many Hollywood celebrities have trans kids. Naomi Watts, Jamie Lee Curtis, Charlize Theron, Magic Johnson, Robert De Niro, Annette Bening, Dwayne Wade, Megan Fox, Marlon Wayans, Cynthia Nixon, J-Lo, Jennifer Garner, Rosie O'Donnell, and I'm sure I'm missing a whole bunch. Some believe it's a sacrifice they have to make to move up in their satanic club. The celebrity will stay relevant as long as they push one of their causes. Now, whether that's true or not, that's not important. What's important is, why does it matter? It matters because celebrities have a huge influence. It matters because gender transitions have increased by 500% in the last decade because of propaganda. It matters because the majority of these transitions happen between 13 and 17 years old. It matters because the suicide rate amongst transgender people is almost 8 times higher versus the general population. It matters because Pfizer leads in hormone therapy drugs. It matters because it's making these demons richer while confusing and weakening our youth. So the next time we see a celebrity come out with their freshly transitioned kid, it's not the time to clap and talk about how courageous they are like all these trash Hollywood magazines. It's time to call out the PSYOP, unfollow the perpetrators, and ask for stricter legislation on this issue.